My buddy Sergei Kostromin was always the restless type. Geologist by training, wanderer by calling, he'd covered every inch of Siberia, venturing into places where even wild animals wouldn't dare to go. Born and raised in Irkutsk Oblast, he came from a family of old Siberians who viewed the taiga not as an enemy, but as home. That fall, he set out on another expedition to the abandoned villages of Krasnoyarsk Krai. Sergei loved those places. Said you could feel the spirit of a time when people lived not by orders from above, but by the laws of nature and common sense. He stumbled upon the village by accident. It hadn't appeared on maps for years, though old-timers from a neighboring settlement remembered that about 30 kilometers north, nestled in a valley between hills, there once stood a village called Kameny Bor. They said people left before the war, though nobody quite remembered why. Maybe crop failure, maybe an epidemic, maybe just the collectivization that scattered everyone. Sergei reached it on the third day of hiking. The village was truly dead, about 15 crooked cabins overgrown with young pines and birches. Roofs had caved in, walls had settled, only the chimneys stuck up like gravestones. He searched several houses, finding old utensils, rusty tools, rotted rags. Nothing special. But in one cabin, set slightly apart from the others, you could still make out faded Cyrillic letters on the leaning door. Library reading room. Inside smelled of mold and rotting wood. The floor had collapsed in places, but shelves still clung to the walls, without a single book, naturally. Everything had long been scavenged or rotted away. Sergei was about to leave when he noticed a small trapdoor in the floor behind a collapsed stove. A cellar. Curiosity got the better of him. He threw aside the rotten boards and climbed down the rickety ladder. The basement was small, about 10 feet by 10, with dirt walls. And there in the far corner, under a pile of moldy rags, he found it. A metal box covered in rust but still solid. On the lid, a barely visible stamp, hammer and sickle, and the inscription, NKVD, top secret. The lock had long since rusted away. Sergei opened the box and froze. Inside were folders, about 15 of them, with worn covers, but the contents surprisingly well preserved. Typed pages, photographs, maps, interrogation protocols, each folder stamped top secret with a case number. He flipped through the first one he grabbed. Case number 47. Disappearance of hunting artel in the Podkamennaya Tunguska River region, 1937. Then came protocols, witness statements, reports, and photographs, blurry but horrifying. Something with torn bodies in the snow, claw marks on trees. Sergei realized he'd found something incredible. An archive of special NKVD cases dealing with what? Anomalous phenomena? Things that didn't fit within the framework of ordinary reality? He took the box with him. A week later, when he returned to the city, he brought it to me. He knew I'd spent my whole life interested in such things. Mysticism, mysteries, everything that official science preferred to ignore. Here, said Sergei, setting the box on the table. Read it. Just don't ask me where I got it. I don't fully understand what I found myself. I opened the first folder. Case number 12. Cave near Tyozhny settlement. Disappearance of geological expedition 1936. And this is what I read. From the interrogation protocol of witness Fyodor Ivanovich Kurochkin, age 32, guide. Interrogated by NKVD Captain Tretьяков, M.A., October 15, 1936. We'd been hiking for 3 days. Me, Boris Petrovich Samoylov, expedition leader, geologist Ignat, cartographer Lebedev, and a local hunter, Semyon Gavrilov. 5 of us total. Simple task. Survey the caves in the upper Chulim, look for ore deposits. The party ordered it. We did it. Weather was nasty. October snow had already fallen but hadn't settled yet. Cold, damp. Semyon, the local hunter, said people avoided those parts, said the caves were unclean, that a shaman once lived in them. We laughed it off, of course. What shaman in 1936? They'd all scattered or were sitting in camps. We found the cave on the 3rd day. Small entrance in the cliff face, about 60 feet up. Had to climb up scree. Semyon flat out refused to go inside, said it was bad in there. We left him outside and the four of us climbed in. The cave went deep, about 150 feet into the mountain, then opened into a large chamber. And there we saw it. Drawings on the walls, ancient, painted in ochre, people, animals, strange symbols, and in the middle of the chamber, an altar, made of stones, rough but solid, and on it a head, wolf's head, dried out but intact, and a hide nearby, all covered in dried blood. Boris Petrovich, our leader, said right away, "This is a find, ethnographic treasure. We need to document it, photograph it, take samples." Ignatiev pulled out his camera, started shooting. Lebedev made sketches. But I felt something. Can't explain it, like someone was watching. From the darkness, from the depths of the cave, watching and waiting. I told Boris Petrovich. He waved me off. Nerves, Fedya, just nerves. But I noticed he kept glancing into the darkness more often. We stayed in the cave about 2 hours. Did everything we needed. We're getting ready to leave. And then Lebedev screamed. He was standing at the entrance to a far tunnel where our flashlight beams didn't reach, pointing. We ran over, shone our lights, and saw it. Bones, human bones. A skeleton lying right on the rocks, and next to it, another hide, wolf's hide. But this one looked almost alive. The fur gleamed, claws glistened black. Boris Petrovich bent down, wanted to touch it, and the hide, it twitched. I saw it, I swear it twitched like it was alive. We bolted for the exit, but didn't make it. Something burst from the darkness. I don't know what to call it. Wolf, man, both at once. Massive, black, with burning eyes. It leaped at Lebedev, tore out his throat with one motion. Blood sprayed on the walls. We ran. Ignatiev stumbled, fell. I heard his scream but didn't look back. Ran for the exit. Boris Petrovich ran beside me, but in the narrow passage, it caught him. I glanced back for a second, saw his body thrown upward, saw his head roll to the side. I burst out of the cave, tumbled down the scree. Semyon stood at the bottom, rifle ready. Heard the screams, knew something was wrong. We ran until dark, and behind us, something followed. I heard its breathing, heavy, raspy. Saw a shadow in the bushes. At night we holed up in an old winter cabin. Built a fire. Semyon said, "It's him, the shaman, the one who cursed himself. He's neither man nor beast now. He's between worlds, and he's hungry." By morning, Semyon was gone. I dozed off for a minute, and when I woke up, he wasn't there. Only blood on the threshold, and a track, huge like a bear's but with 5 clawed fingers. I ran for 2 more days, alone, without food, without a rifle. Ran until I reached Taozhny settlement. They took me in there. That's where I told the district authorities everything, and they called you. NKVD Captain Maxim Andreevich Tretьяков closed the folder and leaned back in his chair. The office was thick with smoke. Colonel Lisitsky had already burned through his 3rd cigarette while Maxim read the protocol. "So, Captain?" the colonel asked hoarsely. Georgy Andreevich Lisitsky was old school, had fought in the Civil War, seen everything, but even his face looked grim now. "Your thoughts?" Maxim paused, choosing his words carefully. "The witness is of sound mind, Comrade Colonel. We checked. Doesn't drink, doesn't brawl, never suspected of anything before. Worked as a guide since 28, good references. Doctor examined him. Exhaustion, frostbitten fingers, nervous shock, but not psychosis. So you believe that there in the cave they were killed by a werewolf?" Lisitsky smirked, but without humor. "I believe they were killed by something we don't understand, Comrade Colonel," Maxim answered carefully. "We found 3 bodies, Lebedev, Ignatiev, and Samoylov, or what was left of them, torn apart like rags. The tracks at the scene, I've never seen anything like them. Too big for a wolf, too human in shape." The colonel stubbed out his cigarette and stood, walking to the window. Outside, Krasnoyarsk, October 1936, gray sky, wet snow. "The party doesn't believe in fairy tales, Tretьяков. The party believes in materialism and science. But the party also understands that in our vast country there are still plenty of dark places where old superstitions run deeper than Soviet power. And if these superstitions interfere with building socialism, they need to be eliminated. He turned around. We have special people for such matters, those who know how to fight what science can't explain, or won't. Maxim straightened up. Your orders, Comrade Colonel. You'll go to Taozhny. Take a squad, 5 men, no more. Standard armament plus. He opened his desk drawer, pulled out an envelope, plus this. Coordinates inside. For someone who'll help you. His name is Father Panteley, former priest. Works in a hunting artel now. But before the revolution, he dealt with exorcising evil spirits. And he knows how to work with things that ordinary bullets can't kill. Maxim took the envelope, tucked it in his tunic pocket. When do we leave? Tomorrow morning. Truck will take you to Taozhny. From there, on horseback or foot, your call. Mission: find out what's in that cave and eliminate the threat. The 4th body, Hunter Gavrilov, was never found. Kuroshkin says it was dragged off at night. Maybe he's still alive. Maybe not alive, but his body needs to be returned to his family. Understood? Yes, Comrade Colonel. Lisitsky nodded. Go, and Max, be careful. This isn't bandits or saboteurs. This is something else. The squad was assembled in a day. 5 fighters, tested men who'd already worked in the taiga, who didn't panic at the sight of a bear and didn't believe in old wives' tales. Sergeant Kruglov, 2 Red Army soldiers, Zhukov and Petrov, and 2 hunter guides, the Makarov brothers, Stepan and Ivan. Armament: Mosin rifles, 2 TT pistols for officers, RGD-33 grenades, knives, axes, plus standard taiga kit, tents, sleeping bags, week's worth of provisions, lanterns, rope. Maxim checked everything twice, then opened Lisitsky's envelope and read the coordinates. Father Panteley lived in Taozhny itself, in a house on the outskirts by the cemetery. In the morning, when the truck was loaded and ready to go, Kruglov approached Maxim. Comrade Captain, is it true we're going hunting evil spirits? He asked quietly so the soldiers wouldn't hear. Maxim looked at him. Kruglov was older, pushing 40, fought in the Civil War, then worked in the taiga, had seen plenty. Do you believe in evil spirits, Kruglov? The sergeant shrugged. I've been walking the taiga for 20 years, Comrade Captain. Seen things, better to believe and be ready than not believe and die. Maxim nodded. Right thinking. Yes, we're going after evil spirits. Or rather, after what people call evil spirits. It killed 3 men, took a 4th. Our task: find it and eliminate it. Understood. Kruglov paused. Don't need silver bullets? Maxim grinned. We'll get them in Taozhny, from Father Panteley. He knows what kills such creatures. The road to Taozhny took 2 days. Drove on rutted dirt roads, slept in the cab, ate canned food and bread. Maxim reread the protocols, studied maps. The cave was 40 kilometers from the settlement, in the mountains where there were no roads. 3 days hike, minimum. Taozhny greeted them with drizzling rain and silence. Small settlement, about 50 cabins, village council building, store, school, club. People lived by hunting, fishing, logging. The truck stopped at the council building. Maxim got out, adjusted his holster belt, approached the building. The chairman came out to meet him, a man about 50, in a dirty quilted jacket, face wind-burned to redness. You from the NKVD? He asked without greeting. Captain Tretьяков arrived regarding the expedition disappearance case. The chairman nodded. Fedka Kuroshkin's here, staying with me. Since the day he came running back, hasn't been himself. Jumps at every sound. Doctor said nerves. I think it's not just that. He saw something there in that cave, something terrible. I need someone, Maxim said. Father Panteley, where can I find him? The chairman grimaced. Panteley? Old priest? Lives on the edge by the cemetery. But he's strange. Not many people talk to him. They say before the revolution he cast out demons. And now he's like a demon himself. Will you show me the house? I'll show you, but you be careful with him. He may be old, but he's not simple. Father Pantelet's house stood at the very edge of the settlement, behind a crooked fence, next to the cemetery fence. Old cabin, but solid, with carved window frames and a cross on the roof ridge. A cross that in 1936 few dared to display openly. Maxim knocked. The door didn't open immediately. An old man appeared on the threshold, tall, gaunt, with a long gray beard and piercing pale eyes, dressed in a simple canvas shirt belted with rope. "What do you want?" Voice raspy but firm. "Father Pantelet, NKVD Captain Tretьяков. Colonel Lisitsky sends his regards." The old man squinted. "Lisitsky, haven't heard that name in a while. What, evil spirits acting up again?" "May I come in?" Pantelet paused, then nodded and stepped aside. Inside was clean but sparse. Table, bench, stove, bookshelf. On the wall, an icon of St. Nicholas, a lamp burning before it. On the shelf, strange objects, bones, bundles of herbs, dried claws, various amulets. "Sit," said Pantelet, pointing to the bench. "Talk." Maxim briefly recounted the case. The cave, the expedition, the altar with the wolf's head, the attack, 3 dead, 1 missing. Pantelet listened without interrupting. When Maxim finished, the old man silently stood, walked to the shelf, pulled out an old notebook in a leather binding, leafed through it. "Cave by the Chulam," he muttered. "My grandfather's grandfathers avoided those places. Said a shaman lived there, from the Ket tribe. When the Russians came, his people were pushed out. Disease, hunger, death. The shaman decided to save his people, turned to the spirits, performed a ritual, became something else. Not man, not wolf, werewolf." Maxim listened without interrupting. "He protected his village." Pantelet continued. "Killed outsiders, tore apart livestock, spread fear. But spirits demand payment. A werewolf can't return to human form without offering a sacrifice, blood sacrifice. But there were fewer and fewer victims in the taiga. People left, the village emptied. The shaman remained alone, and the curse remained with him." "So he's alive," Maxim clarified. "In a sense. His body died long ago, but the spirit is bound to the cave and the altar. And when someone comes there, the spirit awakens, takes the form of a wolf, and kills." "How do we stop it?" Pantelet closed the notebook. "Destroy the altar, burn the bones and hide, and pierce the heart of the remains with an aspen stake, consecrated by prayer. Then the spirit will be freed, or go to hell where it belongs." "Will you help?" The old man smirked. "Do you have a choice, Captain? Without me, you go there, you won't come back. Werewolves can't be killed with ordinary bullets. Need silver, or..." He stood, walked to a chest in the corner, opened it, pulled out a bundle of long wooden stakes, sharpened at one end, aspen stakes with prayers and runes. Maxim took one in his hands. The stake was heavy, the wood hard, strange symbols carved on the surface. "These are pagan runes and Christian prayers," Pantelet answered calmly. "Evil spirits don't care what faith kills them. What matters is intention and strength of spirit." He pulled out several more items, a flask of holy water, incense, silver bullets, and a canvas pouch. "I cast these bullets myself, pure silver, no impurities. Read a prayer over each one. They'll pierce a werewolf's hide, but won't kill instantly. Need to hit the heart or head. Otherwise, you'll just make it angry." Maxim nodded, accepting the equipment. "When do we leave?" "Tomorrow at dawn. Long road ahead. And better to reach the cave in daylight. At night you can't handle it." They set out early in the morning. 6 fighters, Maxim, Father Pantelet, and Fedya Korochkin, the witness guide. Korochkin refused at first, but Colonel Lisitsky ordered him taken by force. Needed someone who knew the way. Fedya was pale, thin, flinched at every snapping branch. But he remembered the way. They hiked for 3 days, through dense taiga, along animal trails, beside streams and over passes. Weather worsened, snow fell more frequently, wind picked up, camped in tents by fires. Maxim noticed Pantelet didn't sleep, sat by the fire, muttering something, fingering prayer beads. "Praying?" Maxim asked one night, sitting down beside the old man. "Preparing," Pantelet answered. "A werewolf senses fear, senses doubt. If the soul is unclean, it'll enter, break the will. So you need to be clean, as much as possible in our time. Maxim said nothing. He didn't believe in God or the devil himself. But after what he'd read in the protocols, after Kuroshkin's stories, doubts crept in. On the third night, they made camp a kilometer from the cave. Kuroshkin flat out refused to go farther, said he wouldn't go near that place. Left him at camp with one fighter, Zhukov. The rest, Maxim, Kruglov, Petrov, the Makarov brothers, and Father Panteley, headed for the cave at dawn, walked in silence. Snow crunched underfoot, the forest around was dead, no birds, no animals, only wind howling in the branches. Bad place, muttered Stepan Makarov. Can feel it. Maxim didn't answer, but felt the same thing. The air here was different, heavy, thick, like before a thunderstorm, and the smell of rotten blood. The cave appeared suddenly, a black hole in the cliff about 60 feet up. There it is, whispered Ivan Makarov, crossing himself. Devil's maw. Panteley stopped, pulled out the flask of holy water, sprinkled everyone. Listen carefully, he said, quietly but firmly. Inside, don't separate. Stay together. If you hear voices, don't answer. If you see any of the dead, don't trust your eyes. The werewolf can take forms. Only shoot on my command. And most importantly, don't be afraid. Fear is what it feeds on. Maxim worked the bolt on his rifle, checked the spare magazines with silver bullets. Kruglov and the others did the same. Let's go, Maxim commanded. The climb to the entrance was difficult. Scree, slippery rocks, sharp outcrops. Petrov slipped, nearly fell, but Stepan managed to catch him. Finally, all five reached the entrance. The black hole gaped before them. From the depths came cold and something else. Something primordial, ancient. Maxim turned on his flashlight. The beam cut through darkness, illuminating uneven walls covered in soot and strange drawings. I'll go first, said Panteley, pulling out from under his shirt a cross. Large, copper, darkened with age. Follow me. They entered. Inside was cold as a cellar. Air stale with a taste of metal and rot. Walls narrowed and widened, ceiling dropped and rose. Panteley walked ahead, holding the cross before him and muttering a prayer. Maxim followed, lighting the way with his flashlight. Behind them, the others, rifles at the ready. They reached the first chamber in about 10 minutes. It was exactly as Kurochkin described. Large, irregular shape, high ceiling. On the walls, drawings, people with spears, deer, bears, and wolves. Many wolves, some enormous, almost as tall as a man. Totem animals, Panteley commented. The Kets worshipped the wolf spirit, considered it their ancestor. In the center of the chamber, the altar. Pile of stones, about 3 feet high, and on it, Maxim brought the flashlight closer. Wolf's head, dried out, mummified but preserved. Jaws bared, fangs yellowing in the flashlight beam. Nearby, a hide, gray with bare patches but intact, and it was covered in dark stains, dried blood. This is it, Panteley whispered. He wore it when he transformed. Where are the bones? Maxim asked. Kuroshkin mentioned a skeleton. Panteley shone his light into the far corner where a narrow passage led. There, deep inside, that's his lair. Maxim swallowed. His mouth went dry. Kruglov, Makarovs, stay here. Guard the exit. Shoot anything that comes out of that tunnel except us. Clear? Yes, comrade captain. Kruglov raised his rifle to ready position. Maxim, Panteley, and Petrov moved toward the far passage. It was narrow, low, had to walk hunched over. Walls oozed moisture. Mud squelched underfoot. The smell intensified. Rot, blood, something animal, wild. Comrade captain, Petrov whispered. I'm not feeling good. Head spinning. Hold on, Maxim grunted. Almost there. The tunnel widened, leading them into a small chamber. And there, in the flashlight beams, they saw it. A skeleton, human, lying on the rocks in fetal position. Bones gray, gnawed by time. But next to it, something else. Pieces of fabric, decayed but recognizable. Shaman's clothing, and amulets, made from bones, teeth, claws. Here he is, Panteley whispered. The shaman, the one who cursed himself. Maxim crouched, examining the remains. The skull was strange, elongated with powerful jaws. The fangs, The fangs were too long for a human. He wasn't human anymore when he died, Panteley said. The curse changed his flesh. Suddenly Petrov screamed, "Comrade Captain, there, behind you!" Maxim spun around. In the passage they came from stood a shadow, huge, hunched, with burning yellow eyes. "Fire!" Maxim roared. Petrov fired. The gunshot deafened in the enclosed space. The bullet hit the shadow, but it didn't fall, just swayed and laughed. Low, guttural, inhuman. "Silver bullets!" Panteley shouted, pulling a magazine from his bag. "Only those work." Maxim tore the TT from his belt, loaded the magazine with silver bullets, fired 3 times. The shadow howled, recoiled. In the flashlight beam flashed fur, fangs, claws. "Run!" Panteley bolted back toward the tunnel. They ran, stumbling, falling. The shadow pursued them, breathing heavily, growling. Maxim fired without turning, shooting at the sound. Petrov screamed something incoherent. Burst into the main chamber. Kruglov and the Makarovs opened fire. Thunder of gunshots, flashes, smoke. The creature howled and darted to the wall, vanishing into shadow. "Where is it?" Kruglov yelled, spinning his head. "Where?" "Quiet!" Maxim roared. "Listen!" Silence. Only their heavy breathing and the crackling of dying flashlights. Then, scraping. Sound of claws on stone from above. Maxim looked up. On the ceiling, right above the altar, clung something. Huge, muscular, covered in gray fur. Wolf's muzzle, but body almost human. Arm paws with long claws, eyes burned with yellow fire. "Fire!" Maxim shouted. Volley. 5 rifles fired at once. The creature fell from the ceiling, crashed onto the altar, scattering stones. Howled, convulsed, black, viscous blood flowed from wounds, but it didn't die. Rose to all 4s, bared its teeth. "The stake!" Panteley shouted. "Give me the stake!" Maxim dropped his backpack, pulled out the aspen stake. Panteley grabbed it, read a prayer, and lunged at the creature. The werewolf leaped. Panteley dodged, fell, but managed, drove the stake straight into the chest where the heart should be. The creature froze. Jaws opened in a silent scream. Body shook, began to smoke. Fur fell off. Flesh blackened, bones showed through skin. And suddenly, silence. On the stones lay a skeleton, human, with an aspen stake through the ribs. Panteley breathed heavily, leaning on his knees. "It's done," he croaked. "The spirit is freed." Maxim approached, looked at the remains, then at the altar, at the wolf's head and hide. "Burn it," he said. "Burn everything, so nothing remains." They doused the altar, hide and bones with kerosene, set it on fire. Flames erupted hungrily, devouring the ancient evil. Smoke filled the cave, acrid, heavy. When the fire burned down, Panteley read a final prayer. Then they went outside. The sun was already setting. Snow had stopped. The air was clean, frosty. "Let's go," Maxim said. "Home." From the report of NKVD Captain Tretьяков, MA, to Colonel Lisitsky, GA. Mission accomplished. Threat eliminated. Remains of shaman werewolf destroyed. Body of Gavrilov S. found 1 kilometer from cave, partially eaten by predators. Remains delivered to relatives. Cave sealed, entrance blocked with stones. Recommend including this location in the list of prohibited areas for civilian access. Special thanks to Citizen Panteley P., without whose help the operation would not have succeeded. Personnel sustained no losses. Morale satisfactory. NKVD Captain Tretьяков, MA, October 22, 1936. I closed the folder and leaned back in my chair. Outside it was already dark. Sergei sat across from me, drinking tea, watching me expectantly. "Well?" he asked. "You believe it?" I paused. "Don't know, but it's all written seriously. Protocols, stamps, signatures. If this is fiction, it's very high quality." "See the photos?" Sergei nodded at the folder. "At the end." I opened it again. At the end of the folder were indeed photographs, black and white, blurry but discernible. The cave, the altar, the skeleton, and something else. In one photograph, apparently taken before the burning, was captured the creature, huge, hairy, with a wolf's muzzle and human body. I felt a chill run down my spine. "How many cases are in the box?" I asked. 14, Sergei answered. "All about the taiga, about Siberia, about what happened there in the 30s. He paused. "Going to keep reading?" I looked at the box. at the worn folders stamped top secret. Yes, Ed, absolutely.